Welcome to Soledad Canyon, which is part of the Oregon Mountains and Desert Peaks National Monument. Today we're going to do a quick plant walk or a virtual field trip where we look at some of the common species that are easily found within a very short walk of the parking lot. I do highly encourage you to explore this area. It's a well-maintained area with a lot of great plants, and when we do have adequate moisture, a little bit of a dripping spring or a little trickle of a waterfall. So let's go look at some plants. The first species we're going to cover is Rhus microphylla, and that's in the Anacardiaceae family, and the common name for this species is little leaf sumac. Rhus is a Greek name for sumac, and microphylla is little leaf. Little leaf sumac is a native shrub with odd pinnately compound leaves. This species is a valuable one for wildlife from both a habitat standpoint and also from a food standpoint. The fruits are well liked by wildlife, and they're also used in making beverages or jams. Another species in the Anacardiaceae family is Rhus trilobata, or skunkbush sumac. Similar to Rhus trilobata, Rhus is Greek for sumac, and trilobata means three-lobed, and that's referring specifically to the leaves. Skunkbush sumac is also a shrub that has compound leaves. Its fruits are also similar to little leaf sumac in that they're valuable for many reasons. Wildlife like to consume them. And then also there's a lot of things that are made for them that humans will consume. Another common name that's used for this species is lemonade bush or lemonade berry. Because of the bitter taste of the leaves, but they were consumed. And it's also used to alleviate stomach aches where the leaves are chewed and consumed in that respect. Mahonia hematocarpa is a species in the Berberidaceae family, and it has a couple of different common names. Algerita is commonly used in the Southwest, as well as red barberry. Mahonia is named for a horticulturalist with the last name McMahon, and hematocarpa refers to blood red fruit. Algerita is an evergreen shrub that has leaves that are spinose, and it occurs in the Southwest across to California. One notable thing about this species is that its berries are prized. A lot of animals will eat them, and a nice jelly can be made of their fruit. Felucia paradoxa is a species in the Rosaceae family that goes by the common name Apache plume. Flugia is named after a Italian botanist, and paradoxa refers to something that is strange or anomalous. Celtis laevigata is in the Ulmaceae family, and the common names for this plant are sugarberry or net leaf hackberry. The net leaf is referring to the reticulate venation on the leaves. Celtis is a Greek name for a tree with a sweet fruit, and certainly this plant has sweet fruit. And laevigata is smooth, means smooth. Mimosa Carpa is in the Fabaceae family and has a couple different common names. Wait a minute bush is one that's commonly used because of the prickles that tend to grab onto you when you're hiking through an area. And cat claw mimosa is another one. Mimosa is a word that describes mimic or mimicry, and Clutia carpa refers to the spiny nature, which in this case are actually paired prickles. This species is a shrub or occasionally a small tree, and it typically grows on hillsides in pretty thick clumps, as well as some slopes of canyons and along washes like arroyos. The leaves are bipinnately compound. The flowers on this plant are found in clusters, and they range in color from white to a pink color. The legume pods for this plant are curled, and culturally, they have been ground into a meal and used in food preparation. Quercus grisea is part of the Fagaceae family, and the common name is gray oak. Quercus is just a Latin name for oak species, and grisea is gray. The dark green trees seen in this photo are gray oak, and this species has persistent leaves, or they're considered evergreen. This species occurs often as a tree, but also as a robust shrub. And it's pretty common along riparian areas, or in this case, arroyos. These round, red objects that look like fruits are actually insect galls. And on the opposite side, you can see the actual nut for this species, the acorn. Juniperus stepiana is in the Cupressaceae family, and the species is alligator juniper. Juniperus is the Latin name for juniper species, and Depiana is named after a German botanist. This species can occur as a tree on canyon slopes or uplands, or as shown here in this photo, it can occur as a robust shrub in an arroyo. The species gets its name because its bark looks like alligator scales. The wood from this tree is used for lumber or for fuel, but the berries have many uses. They were made into a drink, they were eaten fresh, ground into a meal. Garrya wrightii is in its own family, the Garryaceae family, and its common name is Wright's silk tassel. This species was named after an explorer. So Nicholas Garry was an explorer in the Pacific Northwest. And then Wrightii refers to Charles Wright, who was a botanist who did a lot of work in the Texas and Southwest area in general. Wright's silk tassel is a medium-sized shrub with persistent leaves. It occurs in the Southwest in Arizona, Texas, and New Mexico, and can be found here in arroyos, but also hillsides, pine to oak forests. The fruits are large berries that turn dark purple to black when they are mature. Cercocarpus montanus, or alderleaf mountain mahogany, is in the Rosaceae family. Cercocarpus refers to the tail-like plume that is found on the fruit, and montanus is referring to growing on mountains or being of the mountains. This species occurs as a shrub or small tree and has a upright growth form, as you can see in this photo. Daislerion wheeleri, or common soltal. Since we're using the plants database as our taxonomic authority this semester, The family that we are going to go with for this species is a Liliaceae. If you look at some of the other botanical resources like SciNet, you'll see that the family is listed as a Asparagaceae, but Liliaceae is what we're going to go with. Now, Deislerion roughly translates into thick lily because of the lily-like flowers and the stem, which is very robust. And Wheeleri comes from an explorer, George Wheeler, who was working with the Army and explored much of the western U.S. Common soltal is a frequently occurring shrub-like species in the Chihuahuan Desert, and many people confuse it for yucca at quick glance, but the inflorescence originates as a very robust stalk and has a terminal panicle. This species is used to make a liquor, just referred to as soltal. And a lot of the other parts of the plant are used for making baskets and other textiles. Leaves of soltal have spines on the margins that point towards the apex of the leaf, and at the base it's somewhat shaped like a spoon, which also gives another common name for this species, which is also referred to as desert spoon. Flowers on soltal are dioecious, so you have male unisexual spikelets on one plant and female unisexual spikelets on other plants. Chilopsis linearis is in the Bigoniaceae family and is commonly referred to as desert willow. Chilopsis refers to the lip-like shape of the calyx, so it's resembling a lip, and linearis refers to the linear shape of the leaves. This is Chilopsis in a very common location in the Southwest where it's growing right along the edge of an arroyo. Although desert willows are most often found in shrub form, especially in the wild, it's a very commonly used ornamental species in the Southwest. It's prized for its pretty flowers, which are fairly large, has a pleasant growth form, and also is extremely drought tolerant. So this species is actually one of my more favorite species in this area. Cylindropuntia is in the Cactaceae family and refers broadly to Cholla species. At the base of mature plants, it's not uncommon to find segments of the stems, and at each joint of the segments, you have buds, which have the potential to start new plants. And so one of the things about cholla species is that sometimes they have spines which are very effective at grabbing onto things, whether it's animals' fur or our clothing, and that's a great means of dispersal. And or sometimes they just break apart, and either through mechanical treatments or wind or whatever. Artemisia ludoviciana, or white sagebrush, is in the Asteraceae family. Now, Artemisia is a name that came from the Greek goddess Artemis, who benefited from this plant and really liked it, so she gave it her own name. And ludoviciana translates into meaning of or from Louisiana. This forb is a common but extremely variable species, and it occurs all throughout the United States. So it is native, and it is a perennial species, and the stems, it spreads through rhizomes, and you often find it in disturbed areas. It's not uncommon to see this plant used for spiritual purposes, for cleansing and medicinal bitters. Eriogonum wrightii is in the Polygonaceae family, and some common names for this species is bastard sage or Wright's buckwheat. Now, Eriogonum, this word comes from the Greek root erion, which is translated into wool, and gonu, which is joint or knee. And this refers to the woolly joints of some of the species in this genus. And wrightii, as we discussed earlier, is named after a botanist who did a lot of work in Texas, Charles Wright.